Welcome home, all. Thank you for being here. We are on the Wednesday, not the Tuesday. So we're just going to be on for the one day this week. Apologies for that. A little bit of a scheduling situation for the days in the facility. So just one day this week, tonight. April Fools, not March 31st. So a bit of a hiccup there with regard to finishing up. I really wanted to finish up Women's History Month in April, obviously, the 31st. March 31st was the last day of Women's History Month. We were scheduled for yesterday to finish Women's History Month. No big issue. We'll just finish it up tonight, carry over into today. Again, we begin April. But for the remainder of them, do a couple things here. For all of March, for those of you that have been with us, for all of March, we did Women's History Month by bringing forward to you a woman or two. And for the most part, it's been two since the very beginning of March, or two women that we want to draw focus and spotlight on, give attention to, and help grow. Mexicans, Hispanics, Latinos supporting Mexicanas, Hispanics, Hispanas, and Latinas. Support your women and help them grow, help them do their thing. And we did it in a way where it wasn't in the easy part, right? I can just create some hot list of a bunch of good-looking women, but and for the record, they're all good-looking women, but it's women in a variety of different fields and arenas professionally, and a cross section. You know, athletes, musicians, models, some, just a variety of, like I said, different cross section of women that are doing their thing and trying to grow who they are nationally and internationally, depending on where you're from. And if you've been with us again, you know that we've been drawing them from all over the Latin world. And the Latin world means linguistically they're from Latin or Latin-derived speaking countries. So everything from Paulina Blanco, who's a tennis player in Chile, to Italy and Spain in Europe, and of course Mexico and Mexican America as well. So everything in between. So I'll leave it here because we're going to get right into the two women we're doing tonight to finish up the month. But I've had a good time doing the work, doing the research on the women that I chose to spotlight or bring forward. And for the record, there's a lot. Okay, there's more than a few. I'm just using this like as an example in a test case to show that we have women in a variety of fields, entertainment, sport, you name it. We have plenty, and we just need to support them and foster them and help them grow. So I've had a good time doing it in the sense that I've learned quite a bit about the women that are there. Some things I just did not know. And that's a guy thing, right? Like we don't know it, so it must not exist, but it does. And so you got to take the time and the effort to learn, research, study, and take a look into their backgrounds, where they came from, who they are, what they are. And I'll say this as a final point, and where they go. And I think underlying all of this, this was what was kind of the genesis for my list of Supermex's hot 25, 26 women. And we'll get to that in a second. But of the women that I'm showing you, obviously not 26 in March, but the genesis for it was me seeing and finding where the women in Mexican culture, Hispanic culture, and Latin American culture, Latino culture as a whole, where are they and where are they going? Where are they going? This is, I've said before, maybe a couple episodes ago, I said that it's not enough for me anyway, for a woman to be pretty and then she gathers attention if she's a model, an actress, or a singer, or whatever, and she gets attention because she's pretty. That's going to happen. Okay, that's going to happen anyway without me involved or without me saying anything about it. But what moves me, what interests me, and what I think, therefore, by extension, should move you, my listener, my viewer, is what is she doing with that? What is she doing with our support, her growth, her notoriety, her fame, her celebrity? What are you doing with it? Are you literally just doing for yourself, or are you actively, and I don't mean just go do some charity stuff, right? Everybody can do that. But I mean, are you building things? Are you growing yourself to expand beyond just your immediate arena? Are you multifaceted? Are you capable of a variety of skills and talents and capabilities? That's what I want to see. To me, that's what's hot. That's what I find hot. Not just the physical beauty, but what are you doing personally, professionally, and intellectually with who you are and what your capabilities are in gaining some celebrity, gaining some fame, gaining some money, gaining exposure, a million Instagram followers, etc. That's where this really arose from, and that's where I'm finishing with the two ladies tonight. And interestingly enough, the two ladies that I'm going to finish with tonight are multifaceted as well. They're not like specifically a sport person in a sport only. They're not a musician that just does this one thing, or any other manner of fields or arenas and professions, avocations that you can be. They're actually they are multifaceted. These two women in particular, they do a variety of things, and they do them all well as part of who they are as a whole. Their brand is who they are individually with their name, their likeness, etc. But and again, why we're doing it, right? Why we're doing Women's History Month and celebrating it is I'm bringing these names forward to you so you can find out on your own. So you can do the research and check. And for the record, ladies and gentlemen, the research isn't too incredibly difficult. All right. This isn't, you're your second-year student in law school and you're locked in a library, for 9 hours out of a day, right? You're not. I mean, it's all at your fingertips. And I'll say this for this in particular, for tonight, YouTube, the platform that we are on now, and Instagram and socials is more than enough to just pull them up, see who they are, read about them, and gather intel and find out why, they're interesting to me and why they should be interesting to you and why they should be interesting as a whole for Latinos all over the place, Mexicanos all over the place, Hispanics, Hispanas all over the place. Okay, so that's kind of my wrap for Women's History Month. I'll get into the two young ladies. We'll talk about them. I'll give them to you. And as always, I'll put them into the chat after the show tonight. When I go home and I rewatch the video, I'll put their names and links into the chat so that you can access them yourself. And then I just had a thought. I think what I'm going to do in addition is, because tonight is the last night that we're doing Women's History Month as March wrapped up, I'm going to go back and I'm going to take all the women that we recognized or acknowledged or gave some attention to this month and put them into a list for you. And I'll put that into the comment section for this particular video. Then you could look at them as you want. But make no mistake, like, I've done the work, I've spent the time, I've done the research, and every woman that we recognize this month is worthy of more attention and worthy of us helping her, worthy of us supporting her, worthy of us liking, subscribing, sharing, following their social media, their normal sites. Just as a simple, like, for all my young dudes out there, my young guys, my young bloods, if I give you the name of a model that's gorgeous, Priscilla Rickard, we did last show, it ain't going to take you much to go online to YouTube and pull her up, because I put her link into the comment section. It ain't taking you much to pull her up and take a view, right? Like, she's gorgeous, right? Easy. It's easy to do more on your own. So that's it. And then when you do that, obviously they're getting something out of that. They're getting that bump. They're getting more views, more attention, more looks. And specifically for models, obviously, and actresses, et cetera, and musicians, they need you watching. They need you viewing. They need you listening for them to grow who they are. Okay, so that's my wrap for Women's History Month as a whole. Real happy, real proud of the women that we've assembled over the course of the month. Again, they come from a variety of fields, variety of backgrounds, variety of ages, all kinds of countries, all over North America, South America, Europe. It was work, and it was a rewarding bit of work for me. And I hope you enjoy or appreciate, the time spent to bring these women to your attention and educate you a little bit on, maybe, I'm hoping, some that maybe you didn't know. That's the whole point of an educator and a teacher, right? Is to teach or show, educate something that maybe that, this is students, obviously a long time ago for me when I was in the classroom, but teaching a young person something that they did not know before they met me or before they walked into my classroom. Same thing here. I'm going to guess that, and it's twofold, but I'm going to guess that there are some women that we talked about this month that maybe you didn't know before. And that's a good thing. So you can educate, learn, grow, increase your own capacity, your own intake of knowledge, information, know a little bit more, and again, give some attention. So without any further ado, get down to business. So this young lady, her name is Mariana Bo. I'm not sure if that's like stage name, but that's where you'll find all of her. That's how you'll find her. Obviously, she's got plenty on YouTube because she's also a musician, and she's named. I mean, at this point, she's known more like globally, internationally as a DJ. As a DJ, she's from Mexico City, or excuse me, Mexico. Mexico, the country, and only growing. Only I think she was named to the 2025, the year 2025, the top 100. She was one of the top 100 DJs in the world globally, and she's Mexican. Mexican from Mexico. She also plays violin, and she's a musician in addition to being a DJ, but she's into psytrance, techno, you name it, stuff that's current and right now. And you almost kind of have to be if you're going to be recognized as a DJ that is, global, right? You have to have avenue and success or purview over a variety of different types of current music out there. So her name's Mariana Bo. She's from Mexico, so she's Mexicana, and she's a DJ. She's a violinist. She's a whole variety of things. I'll stop there, but find out a little more about her. And she's quite talented in a variety of ways. That's one of the things that intrigued me about her. And I was looking for something a little different than the other ladies or the women that I was researching, and I kind of ran across her as a DJ. And I'm like, okay, I don't have a DJ. I know there are other Mexican and Mexican American or Latin American and other women that are DJs. There are. She popped up, like I said, she popped up in that top 100 list globally for 2025. But again, as I did the research and the work, I found out she was also a violinist, like pretty accomplished. She's good. She's not just playing with the instrument. She's accomplished at the instrument, and she's a DJ, and she plays other instruments. So really cool. I thought that was really fascinating. I did not know that about her until I read a little bit more, i.e. you can do the same. All right. So Mariana Bo from Mexico, our first woman for tonight, Women's History Month. The second, and this one, from what I said a few minutes ago, I'm hoping that I bring forward a woman, a Latina, that you don't know or that you haven't heard about. What's the fun in everybody talking about the same old person over and over again? I can name celebrities and stars that everybody knows. That's easy. They already got the attention, by the way. As I've said before, and if you've been watching over the last month, Supermex Nation, as we've talked about Women's History Month, I really, really want to pinpoint and drill down on women that don't have enough attention. And for the record, some of the women that we've named over the course of the month do have large Instagram followings, do have a YouTube platform, and with a lot of listeners, subscribers, okay? But in relation to the whole, almost all of them need more, is my point. This one in particular doesn't yet. I think she's younger, like 20s, early 20s. And she needs support. She needs attention. She needs you to watch her, view her, listen to her, etc. So here's how I kind of ran to it. So she's a dancer, and I'm going to go on a limb. At some point, maybe I'll have the ability to have a show and have her call in and we can talk. But dancer, vocalist, model, fitness model, and some other things too. So a variety of details with her. Okay. So the name is Eire, E-I-R-E, Plata, P-L-A-T-A. Okay. So if you're Hispanic, Latino, you know that obviously those two names, her name, at least how you can find her online or, social media, those are two specific meanings. Okay. Eire, E-I-R-E, is the word for Ireland. Ireland, the island country of Ireland, right? That's one. And then plata, silver, money, silver. Okay, those are the two meanings of those two words. So I honestly do not know, and I'm going to do a little bit more, but if that's her given name, I don't know if it's her given name. I think it's a combination of something, but That's what she goes by. That's how you can find her online through social media and other things, right? So she was in a video, I think, when she was really young, and before she had, gotten started to be branch out into other things. For I can't remember the guy's name, but it kind of, I'll never forget the video. It just kind of struck me the first time I saw it. It was Latin music, and the guy's name. Let me pull it up real quick. I do remember it. I used to use it when I would work out for videos. No, messed that up. There it is. Video. And I'm going to remember the guy's name as soon as I get the artist. Or not. It's going to take too long. Give me 1 second. Bear with me. I had it listed, but there it is. The artist was Valderrama, and he's a Latin artist. I don't want to say he's reggaeton, but he's kind of like, I don't want to say Latin pop. Somebody's going to, crucify me for that, but Valderrama. The video is called Rompopopom. 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 And it's him singing, but it's this young lady dancing. Watch it for yourself. Maybe, as a matter of fact, maybe I'll include the video in the comments section so you can watch for yourself. So Eire Plata. She's a dancer, a vocalist, singer, and now she's originally from Spain. She's Spanish, living in Miami, doing the model thing, the fitness model thing, etc. Lifestyle coach, the whole thing. So she's got a lot of hats that she's wearing. I think that's kind of cool. The one thing I will say before we wrap up this segment and move on, I do like the fact that young ladies, young women now feel and know that they have capability of doing a variety of things and they don't have to be relegated to just one. I'm going to guess, if I'm wrong, correct me. If I'm wrong, then correct me. I'm going to guess that there was a time in our past, in our recent past, where a young woman who was pretty, that was a model, probably could only do that and maybe didn't have the ability or the access or the support to go do other things like sing, like dance, etc. Okay, I don't know that, but my point is that I think that's better now for young women. They have more capability, more resources, and more support to be varied and multifaceted in their talent and their skills. And that's a good thing. And that's the very nature of why we're talking about it. Why do you do a Women's History Month? So you can bring up the positives to the women that are doing things in our lives, in our culture, in our society that benefit everybody, and that they can get acknowledged and respected because of the things that they do. So let me stop there. But okay, so she's from Spain. Again, I'll put her name and Mariana is also into the comment section with some links to YouTube for their music and their videos that you can watch yourself. But she's from Spain. I think she's in Miami now. And you can go to her Instagram like the other young lady. Go to their Instagram, go to their YouTube pages, support them, like them, subscribe, share, follow, all the above. And as we wrap up, Women's History Month, that is what this is all about. I'm going to speak directly right now to young minority males, young Mexican males, young Latinos, young Hispanics, males. It's not enough for them to be pretty. Not enough for them to be good looking, hot, gorgeous, etc. That's great. Okay, that's awesome. Who doesn't like it? But they have to have the ability to grow and be more than just that. And the way we do that is, one, they feel like they have the ability to do that, meaning the women have the ability to know that they can do that. But two, and this is why I'm talking to you guys directly, all right, you young dudes, And young to me is anything under 50. All right. If you're under 50, you're young to me. As I'm a lot older than you if you're under those ages. Okay. So you're a young dude to me if you're under 50. So all the young dudes out there, it's not enough. We have to give them support. We have to give them the attention. We have to give them that respect and growth potential, not just for or excuse me, from women, but from also men. Because if men don't do that, you're only having half of the population that is supporting one half of the population. When the reality is, if we want the full growth potential of the whole population, then all of us need to support that one half of the population so we can be full. And if you have to go back and rewind that little part, it makes sense. It's true, it's correct, and it's forward thinking. So as I finish up and wrap up for Women's History Month for March of 2025, to all my young dudes out there, younger dudes, young bloods, support those women, not just because they're pretty or good looking or beautiful or whatever, but support them and help them grow in a variety of ways that isn't just predicated on and beholden to just how they look. Let's see them grow. Let's see them do things. Let's see them reach their full potential intellectually, cognitively, professionally, in their careers, in their hobbies, etc., in their avocations, in the things that sparks their mind, sparks their intellect, spark their desire or want or hunger to be more than what they have been in the past, which is less than what men were, because men have controlled everything since we crawled out of caves. All right? And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I'm totally cool with sitting back and letting women kick ass. I'm good. All right? And you should too. Let them do their thing. All right, that's my piece. If you're a female, young or old, you know where I stand. I'm not perfect. I'm not a saint. But as I've said before, none of the women in my life are weak or incapable. They're all aggressive, hungry, and they do their thing. They really do. They do their thing. And they're not stopped by any dude. They're just not. Definitely not me. You know, and for the record, you don't stop them if they're doing good things, right? They're doing evil, that's different, but they're not. They're doing good things that make their lives better, that make their families better, make their careers better. Nothing but love for the ladies. Okay, the fun part done and done for the month. Let's get down to business. Okay, so I took a lot of time over the weekend, and I went and reviewed the 2 videos that we did last week. And the titles to those videos were Taco and I'm paraphrasing, does Trump taco again? Trump always chickens out. And I think I said on that last show last Thursday that I honestly hope he does chicken out, because he's playing this game with young American lives, our soldiers, our men and women in uniform. This is serious business. And people go fighting to die for their country, fighting for what they believe is right, fighting for what they believe we are, the United States is, that we are the country that does good things in the world. And I'll say this, in large measure, you can point to a lot of good things that we've done that has made the world a better place. Is the world a better place with or without the United States? The answer should be a resounding yes, it is. However, anybody with any kind of intellectual honesty or ethical honesty knows that we've done a lot of not good too, as a country, as a people. And both things could be true. And if someone says, oh, I said this is wrong about the United States going into a war in Iran for no damn good reason, does that make me less patriotic or un-American? Absolutely not. I'm fiercely patriotic and fiercely American, back to the core of its founding principles, out of the document we created called the Constitution, at the end of the Articles of Confederation, the document we started after after the Declaration of Independence, because we didn't have a constitution until after the Articles of Confederation failed. Do a little bit of history. Don't want to do that class right now. But that's where I'm at. And it is uniquely American. I would argue and win this argument with anybody It is uniquely American to question authority, to question government, to hold government to a standard, to hold government to account. We were founded quite literally because of that. You want to get into the literal definitions of the Constitution itself and even the Articles of Confederation, even though the Articles of Confederation, the initial founding document, did not have the teeth necessary. That's why it failed. And then we had to come back, do a constitutional convention. We created the Constitution, and that's what we abide by now as a country, as a people. However, embedded in the Constitution, embedded in the Articles of Confederation, the thought, the philosophy, the initial belief and motion intellectually of those founding fathers to what they envisioned for a country, for a people, for an entity governed by the people and not by a king, not by an individual, not by one person that by fiat got to execute orders and have done what he wanted just because he wanted it. That is the very founding principle of why we revolted. That is why we had a revolution. That is why we are the United States. This is not up for debate. These are all true things. And if you know your history and you paid attention to your history teacher in class when you were in high school, at least, and I'm hoping that if you did college and you followed up on that with coursework at the collegiate level, they would reinforce these things. They'd also talk about the Federalist Papers. They would talk about Thomas Paine and his writings prior to and into a revolution before the Constitution. All of it is there, ladies and gentlemen. It's all there. It's all there. And this little brown chingo, a long time ago, as a kid growing up, at the knee of a grandfather who served in World War II, he literally read me the Constitution. No joke. I was in 5th grade, and my grandfather, Ernesto Martinez, World War II vet, would read me the Constitution, read from the Articles of Confederation, and would talk to me about why it failed. Told me about Alexander Hamilton and how he was his favorite founding father. And this is way prior to the musical, by the way. Okay, way prior to the musical. I find it hysterical that people found Hamilton after a musical. Not making light of it. I'm happy that they did. Get it? I'm happy that you found Hamilton and the brilliance of that dude. What I really dug about Hamilton was the dude was basically nothing, came from an island, came to this country, no parents, nothing. He literally had nothing in his pocket. And through sheer force of intellect, sheer force of the power of his mind, and a disciplined, razor sharp to go with the powerful intellect, helped construct this country in equal measure, as much as Thomas Jefferson, as much as James Madison, as much as those that inner core, Mount Rushmore, and not just four, by the way, but that inner core principle of founding fathers. Hamilton was that guy for me. He resonated with me. I understood him. I didn't give a shit that he was white as snow and that I'm brown as all hell. Didn't matter. It wasn't the color of my skin or his that dictated to me what his mind was. It was the power of his words and the power of his thought. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching me tonight, Supermex Nation, that is about as good as it gets. The power of the words and the power of the thought is as colorblind as you're ever going to get. And that is what this country is supposed to be. That is what this country was set up to be. That is what this country should be. Is that what this country is? A resounding no. No. Clearly not that. For the record, I've never felt that we were 100% that. That's a legitimate and serious argument to have, and it's a capable one, and anyone can. We've never been 100% of what the ideals of our founding principles were. and what they still are, embodied in and embedded in the Constitution, right? And all the other documentation that went along with it that basically gave us the ability to revolt and become our own thing, and to tell a king to go, and I'll say it, to go fuck himself. We don't need you. We don't want you. One person doesn't get to tell me how to live my damn life. So when I see young Mexican males, young Mexican men talking about how badass and how smart Trump is, I laugh. I laugh in ways that sentient beings in alternate universes can hear. No joke. That is the power of my laugh when I hear that. That sentient beings in alternative realities can actually hear me laugh at how funny and how monumentally stupid that is. Donald Trump is nowhere near. He is not a pimple on the ass of James Madison. He has not an iota of intelligence of an Alexander Hamilton. He is a snowflake that would cower like a little bitch in front of George Washington. For all you white guys out there that watch me and watch my show, if you want to emulate white people, other white people that you can look up to, those are the guys you look up to. And Donald Trump doesn't compare. And I've made the statement, and I joked just recently, like, if Donald Trump, or excuse me, if George Washington were alive today, he'd bitch slap Donald Trump across the Potomac. Get the hell out of my chair. I wish that were the case. I was going to say I almost do. I do. I wish that were the damn case. Because as we speak, founding fathers are rolling over in their graves so damn much they don't know when to stop. They're continuously rolling. That's how bad it is. So enough of that. But I lay that down as a primer specifically because I've not done this energetically and emphatically and enthusiastically as hard enough as I needed to with young minority males in particular that have fallen for this bullshit for a variety of reasons. Oh, he went to a UFC fight. Ooh, damn, that must mean he's incredible. When any idiot go spend money and go to a damn show, or any idiot can promise somebody something and kiss his ass and let him show up. Oh, look, Donald Trump must be a bona fide badass because he showed up at a UFC fight. Oh, he must be important if Dana White and Joe Rogan rolled over like bitches for him. Here's my point to you, young Mexican males, young Mexican America, young America. Stiffen your goddamn backbone. Stiffen your spine. And don't tolerate shit from anybody in government, from anybody in the presidential chair. I don't give a shit if they're Democrat or Republican. I can tell Joe Biden to go screw off as much as I can Donald Trump. And for the record, if Joe Biden had tried to overthrow the damn government, I'd be saying the same damn thing. But that old dude didn't. He was just old. Oh, wait a minute. We got another old one. So what's the difference? None. I'll leave it there on that point. Challenge yourself, even if you don't like what I'm saying. I don't give a shit, by the way. Challenge yourself to objectively, with no emotion, no influence on the part of others, no stupid podcast or stream that you listen to where someone inherently moves to move you closer to them so they can get more streams, more views, more likes, and more money to play you as a listener and a viewer, telling you what you want to hear, the things that make you feel comfortable so you can sleep well at night knowing that you're right. Grow a pair. Wake the hell up. There is no one in government that is that. Democrat or Republican, liberal or conservative, left or right. Any of the damn above. When people ask me why I don't like Trump so much, why don't I say something about the Democrats? Because the bottom line, right now, the Democrats ain't that bad. Not anywhere near. They're not perfect. They're not saints. They do stupid shit too. But there is no Democrat that actually tried to overthrow and overturn the government through an election. Never in the history of this country. Period. No debate, no argument, facts. Facts are stubborn things, as John Adams said, because they are. So let's get down to business, and I'll try to keep this tighter. You can see I'm a little fired up, a little more than normal, because I watched this garbage through the weekend. I posted the 2 videos, which was my original point last week about does Trump taco, and oh yes, does Trump taco a second time? Because if you remember, and a reminder here, he threatened once, gave them 3 days, Iran. They basically told him to fuck off. He said, oh, I'll give you 5 days. And lo and behold, we get to next week, Monday, Tuesday, 5 days expired. Oh, I'm going to do this to you. I'm going to do that to you. Or maybe I don't want to do it at all. Not only did he taco, Trump always chickens out, but he's so damn incoherent and unstable and mentally impaired at this point, he can't keep a clear, rational thought that can sustain itself beyond a day. It changes day to day. We all know that. We all know that he lies more than every other president in the history of the country, period. But I don't think we've ever seen a president, and for the record, I'm a former U.S. history teacher. I don't think I've ever seen a president, we've seen a president that cannot maintain, sustain a coherent, rational thought for an extended period of time. Because we do know that he flips and he flops more than any politician that's ever sat in that seat. And we've had some doozies. We've had some presidents that flipped and flopped, but none come even close to what Donald Trump does on a daily basis. The Trumpstein war, because this Trump war was started to deflect attention, and it has worked to a degree, by the way. I don't see as many people talking about the Epstein files. It's not going away, and I've said it will get worse. There will be more. It will never go away, and it's only going to get worse from. The Trumpstein war is at day 32. As of today, I believe there are 15 Americans that have died. 15 American servicemen that have died because Trump took us to war for no damn reason. I wanted to open the straits. I want to take away their nuclear capability. I want to change the regime. Flipping and flopping. No coherent thought. No coherent rationale. No legitimate reason why we are taking and having Americans die in the Middle East again. After he said that he wouldn't do that because the other presidents did. And for the record, let's be clear on the other. I had a talk with someone today, and I found it illustrative that a young man told me that all the presidents have done that, and I had to correct him. And this is not a stupid young man. He's a better than average intellect young man. Not old enough, maybe, and he admitted that, by the way. The first president that got us into the Middle East, at least in this iteration of our time, was George H.W. Bush. And I know that intimately and specifically because I was in uniform as a young enlisted infantryman in the 1st Infantry Division in Germany. It was President George H.W. Bush, Operation Desert Storm. We went into Kuwait to fight off Iraq and their assault on Kuwait. So for the record, I'm not going to get into specifics about the reasons and the whys. I'm just going to point out some blatant and obvious facts. So it was George H.W. Bush that took us into the first Persian Gulf War. Fast forward, it wasn't Bill Clinton. It was George W. Bush, the younger Bush, that eventually takes us into Iraq full and then Afghanistan. And it was only after 20 years that Joe Biden pulled us out. And I'm still laughing about that because the MAGA cult members made a big issue of the pullout because American servicemen died. Not good, obviously, and I'm not happy about that. But American servicemen died in the pullout. They screwed that up. And some American servicemen and women died in the pullout. But the point is, overall, in the large extract, Biden pulled us out. He didn't get us into another war. He pulled us out of the war that George W. Bush got us into. And so fast forward again, here we are. We're back in the Middle East. Billy Joel ought to do a song, not just back in the USSR, but back in the Middle East with Donald Trump. So in essence, the macro is simple, and this is not debatable. There's no argument. These are facts. And again, facts are stubborn things. George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, and Donald Trump, 3 Republican presidents, are solely responsible for involving our men and women in uniform in the Middle East. Now, you can have your debate and argue whether they're justified or not, whether it was good or not, whether the amount of young servicemen that died was warranted, whether the reasons we were there. I'm not getting into that show. That's another time, and that takes a while. But it's a simple stated fact. It wasn't the Democratic presidents, Bill Clinton, Obama, and Biden, that got us into wars in the Middle East. It was specifically, uniquely, and uniformly the 3 Republican presidents that have taken us into the Middle East. And I mean taken into. They started and engaged military action war. And that is where we are today. 15 American dead. That's on and in the hands of Donald Trump. The cost of oil is now higher. And because of Donald Trump lifting sanctions on Iran, which I'm going to say this because it's clear to me, it will be written this way. I'm almost 99% certain as an historian that it will be. Donald Trump has lifted sanctions on Iran, the country we are at war with. He has lifted sanctions on Iran, but because he started the war with Iran, Iran is now making more money off of the oil that they're selling than prior to the war. If that isn't some ass hat, ass clown, stupid shit that I've never seen in my life, that's on another level of dumb shittery. He starts a war, lifts sanctions on the country we're at war with, and makes them more money. If that's the art of the deal, we are in another universe of bizarro world where everything is up and down is up is down. I don't know. But what I do know is make it really simple for you. That's just dumb shit stupid. That is going to go down as one of the stupidest things any president has ever done in military activity because we're at war. He is making the enemy more money. They are growing wealthier, making more money off of the oil that they are selling because Donald Trump lifted sanctions on them so they can sell their oil. And they're making it at a higher price than before Donald Trump started the war. Levels of stupid, heretofore unknown. You heard I said that. I was reading some Shakespeare earlier. The thought came to me. Levels of stupid, heretofore unknown in the United States and the office of the presidency. Nothing, absolutely nothing like it in the history of this country. Nothing that stupid. Iran is now making more money, as I've said, off their oil. The lifting of sanctions on Russia, by the way, what is our enemy, and I don't care what anybody says they are. If Vladimir Putin had the ability to push a button and wipe us off the map, it would have been done already. There is no love for us from that guy. The lifting of sanctions on Russia is also making more money from Russia in oil because the price of oil by barrel has gone up to well over $100. I think it's been up to $116, $115. It could be, it's literally changing by the hour, by the day, so I could be wrong, but in that range, well over $100 per barrel. And because Donald Trump lifted the sanctions on Russia, in addition to Iran, Russia is now making more money because of Donald Trump. He is literally making our enemies more money. And if that doesn't equate, if that doesn't sync, if it seems to you a non sequitur, it does not follow. Non sequitur, does not follow rationally. It doesn't make sense. It's because it doesn't. Unless you're Donald Trump. Because to him, he can do whatever the hell he wants because he's not paying the price. It's American kids that are dying. He's making money off the presidency. That's another show we're going to need to do to show the blatant and outright corruption. He's making billions of dollars while he's in office, more than every single president in United States history combined. Combined. No president has made the amount of money he's making right now. And not only not any one president, but the entire office of the presidency, all the other 45 guys that came before him combined didn't make as much money as he is making now while in office. Again, levels of stupidity and corruption heretofore unknown. I'm going to be stuck on that phrase for a bit now. Heretofore unknown, meaning up until now, prior to now, in the entirety of our existence as a country, it has never been seen, never been done. This kind of asshattery, I don't think it was possible with any of the presidents. Not even capable, not even close. Most of them are not that stupid. Most presidents are not dumb. A few here or there, but most of them are not stupid people. And more importantly, most of them don't feel like they can just do whatever the hell they want whenever they want. Don't get me wrong. The office of the power of the presidency is it is the power, right? The most powerful position on the planet. And with that absolute power comes absolute corruption, right? That's the old maxim, the old motto, and it's true. But no president has even considered doing that because every president, and here's the difference. Here's the difference between all the other 45 and this idiot, this fat idiot right now. All the other 45 knew and were concerned with posterity. Posterity. What would they look like once they left the presidency? How would they be judged by the eyes of history after they were gone, after they pass? How would the American people remember them? Would they remember them like a George Washington, the father of our country? Would they remember him as an FDR who shepherded us and saved us during World War II? Would they remember the Camelot of John F. Kennedy? Every president, in my bones, I know, every president is concerned and considered who they are in the eyes of history. What would this country remember them as? And what would they look like once they were gone? How would history books judge them? And that is the fundamental difference between the 45 others that came before this idiot and the idiot that rests in the White House right now. Why? Ladies and gentlemen, as I say it, you'll know it. And as I say it, you'll understand. He doesn't give a shit. And therein lies the conundrum. Because there are idiots in our country that believes that's a quality should be emulated. I don't give a shit. I'm badass. I'm chingon. I don't care. Taken to an extreme with extreme power, that is bad. That is bad that you don't give a shit, that you don't care about anybody but yourself. And for the record, that is antithetical to how I was taught, how I was trained to lead. The very nature of leadership as I was trained, as I was taught, as I was raised, is leaders care about the people around them before themselves. And as I say that, clearly a dichotomy in what Donald Trump is and what he believes, not describing that because he doesn't care about anybody but himself. Again, the antithesis of what it is to be a leader in America, at least in my book, U.S. Army as I was trained. And raised by a father and a mother that believed that it wasn't enough to just be badass and going on your own. But who are you with relation to the people around you? Are they better? Are they smarter? Are they stronger? Are they more capable? That is leadership. Leave you on that point. Move on and to finish up. Donald Trump is single-handedly unilaterally by himself making more money for Russia and Iran as we speak. It is one of the stupidest things I've ever seen in the office of the president, ever. And it will go down as such, written as such. Why? Because as they make money, they are actively engaged in harming the United States and its people, its soldiers. Right now. This idiot is taking our kids to war and putting money into the hands of the enemy. This is not a debate. This is not an argument. This is not a fact check. These things are in evidence right now. And for my listeners, my viewers, pay attention to the Trump MAGA nuts that defend him. They won't talk about this so much. They won't talk about that fact, those things. They'll deflect. They'll talk about other things. They'll skirt around it. Oh, he got him. Oh, he got rid of the bad guys. Philistine and caveman is all hell. Neanderthals will be proud of the stupidity and the insipid nature of how simple-minded that approach is and that rationale is. Not here. As I've said before, this is the show for the thinking Mexican when it comes to foreign policy, our nation's defense, and the environment in which we exist outside of ourselves in this country, globally. This is the thinking Mexican show. Don't fall for that stupid shit. Okay? I just, like I said, I'm having a major issue with it because Russia is making more money now than before the war that Donald Trump started on his own without congressional approval. An illegal, unconstitutional war. Full stop, no debate. That's a fact. Russia's making more money. And they are providing intelligence and operational advice and consulting to Iranian leaders on how to deal with us, how to fight us right now. And Iran, obviously, if they're making more money, they're actively engaged with us in a war that Donald Trump started illegally and unconstitutionally. Full stop, no debate, no argument, fact. That is the problem I'm having with it. There's a whole bunch of other, but that would take 5 hours of a show. But I want, as always, for you to leave this show tonight. I know it takes some time. It's not a 5-minute TikTok video, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or even half hour. This is a 45 to an hour show because we're dealing with meat. But this is what I want you to remember out of this particular show. That no president in United States history has actively helped our enemy make more money. The definition in many ways of treason is aiding and abetting the enemy. Donald Trump is aiding and abetting the enemy as we speak, as this show goes right now. As we speak right now, he is aiding and abetting our enemies. The very nature of treason. But he sits in the Oval Office, and because he is the President of the United States, he cannot be touched. Which I will guide you back to the beginning of this show and tell you that is antithetical and against the very nature of how this country was founded and the principles upon which we were built. That no one person is above the law, that no one person gets to do whatever they want. No one person gets to command all others. No one person is more important than another. We are watching it in action today. What he is doing now will be studied in history books at least as long as there are history books written. Some of the stupidest, not just blunders, but idiocies. The definition of the word, some of the greatest idiocies perpetrated, enacted, and commanded by a president of the United States. Let's make our enemy more money. Aid and abet the enemy. Give you one word before we wrap up here. Kakistocracy. K-A, some of you probably have seen or heard this, it's funny. K-A-K-I-S-T-O-C-R-A-C-Y. Ocracy. You know that ocracy is governing. And normally the suffix is ocracy, meaning government. And The prefix, in this case, Kakisto, Kakisto, is government, the definition, government by the worst. The worst in relation to a society, the worst in relation to a people, the worst people of that society, that government, that state, that nation, that grouping, that tribe. Let's take the worst of us and let them govern. Kakistocracy. Governing by the incompetent and corrupt. And as I say that to you now and wrap up for the night, my listener, my viewer, the thinking Mexican. And again, thinking what? I'm not sitting here like we're not solving a millennium problem. I'm not a mathematician that way. I'm a social scientist. I believe in the power of history and understanding it, knowing it. I believe in foreign policy. I believe in our force posture. I believe in our national defense. The externals. I'm not as much as big on domestic policy as I am on foreign policy, as most of you that have come here know. That is mostly what I am. That's my wheelhouse. Kakistocracy. Government by the incompetent and the corrupt. And I make the argument and wrap tonight by telling you that in the full scope of the 47 presidencies that we have had in this country that has been lionized, idolized, looked up to in many ways, looked to for in many ways, the country that was supposed to be, should be, the shining city on the hill, for all rights and intents, should, based on who we're supposed to be. I want to say that it was inevitable through the vast arc of history, not just for us as a people, as a nation, as a group governing through democracy. That word, governance, government by the people, demos, D-E-M-O-S. Got a homeboy named Demas. He's the people, friend of mine. But in our arc of history, nearly 250 years, by the way, we're coming up on that. Nearly 250 years, a quarter of a millennium. In that quarter of a millennium, you almost have to believe, no, take that back. You do believe because it's taking place. It is happening. You have to believe that it was inevitable that we would end up with someone that was incompetent and corrupt. Simultaneously, singularly, all in one. The worst element of who we are as a people, the ugly American, that other countries talk about, that we don't know because we don't go out of country. I did. I've been to other countries. I've heard it. That we can be arrogant. We can be cocky. We can talk shit. We can think we're badass. We can think that we're tougher, better than everybody else. The ugly American. I submit for your approval the thought that Donald Trump is the ugly American personified. He is the example of what the ugly American is. And as I've said in prior shows, and I hope you carry it with you, Donald Trump is the exemplar of the worst element of our society and who we are. He is the blueprint for how we will judge this period in our history. He is the blueprint for how not to be a president of the United States, more than any of the 45 before him. He is the most incompetent and the most corrupt all at once right now. And again, lastly, as I finish the night, to my viewers, to my listeners, don't let anybody argue with you or bullshit you. He is, period. If they start shooting their garbage, they start shooting their bullshit, they start defending line, just done. Move on. Because if they're still defending him, they are him. You heard me right. Including those Mexicans out there that kiss his ass. You're him. You are him. Again, only show this week. We'll be back up for 2 next week. And then I'm going to announce some things this coming. I'm going to add some things to this particular comment section about the Women's History Month. I had a lot of fun doing that. I want you to watch, not even to watch if he's going to talk. Who cares anymore? I care about the kids that we're getting sent over to die, but be discriminating. Be a thinking Mexican. Don't accept garbage. Don't believe bullshit. See through it all. Get right to the core of what it is. Don't fall for it. Okay? So have a good weekend. I'll see you next week. Number love for you. We'll be back on the Tuesday, beginning of April, this next week.